Hi guys. I know it's been a day, but yesterday I was not feeling the greatest. I took the day off. As everybody knows, I'm in Cambodia, so my sleep schedule has been kind of really off. So I just sleep when I can, and it's just been really tough without a set schedule. So I've been struggling a little bit. I haven't been feeling the greatest. So I slept yesterday as much as I could instead of doing a live. Hope that's okay. I'm making up for it today and tomorrow. What did I just do? Hold on. Guys, I'm trying to share my business page and I'm not paying attention. How come it always looks like my makeup is all over the place? Maybe because it is. Ah, Lord. Okay, hold on. You know what's really funny? I didn't bring another, I wear this Maybelline foundation, and I cannot, I didn't even think about makeup, American makeup, obviously not being available here. I saw a couple things Olay and Pond's and things like that, but no Maybelline stuff. And, I'm either going to have to order it from Amazon, or I'm going to have my dad buy it in Dwayne Reed over in the States and send it to me. And I can't find coconut oil either, which is why my hair looks the way that it does. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. All right, guys, I just shared to my business pages. This is not... I guess this could be considered a spiritual teaching today, but this whole thing with Kanye West has really got me thinking, and this is what usually happens to me. I don't know if anybody else has an obsessive personality, but I go into what I call this black hole. So I research everything about it. I watched the interview, and then I watched commentary upon commentary upon commentary upon comments from social media and all of this stuff that's dealing with what's going on with Kanye West. So I wanted to kind of talk about it because I have my own thoughts, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it, right? I don't know, do you think, what do you think? I have my own thoughts, like I said, but I want to hear what you guys think, because I think there's a lot of comments to be said about it. I think there's a lot of things that could be misconstrued about it. I just think it's just not a black and white issue, as I think about a lot of issues. So I would love to hear what you guys have to say about it. So go ahead and let me know in the comments. So before I begin, my name is Justine Leslie. I'm an intuitive and spiritual coach. I help people heal through intuition, spirituality, universal law, and some Eastern philosophy, so we can live a life of freedom and truth, which is wonderful, right? The two main things that can make you feel free, right? And I also deal with spiritual awakening and empath support, so I talk a lot about that. Like I said, today I'm commenting on a hot topic, current events, whatever you want to call it, and just my thoughts around it. So again, if you have any comments, let me know. I'd love to hear your opinion. So before I begin, I guess I will let you know what exactly I'm talking about. If you're what are you talking about, Kanye West? What are you saying? I haven't decided if Kanye is coming undone or is having some sort of awakening. A lot of times, both look very similar to each other. Yes, thank you. I'm going to actually talk about that, Melinda. That is a great observation. I agree. So, Kanye West went on TMZ. I think it was a half hour. And he pretty much spoke a lot about free thought, free love. And he made a comment that is really sticking to a lot of people today about slavery being a choice. And I don't know if he meant it that way, and that's why I kind of go into my rabbit hole, my black hole of, researching. And he did apologize on Twitter, clarifying that he's very, very aware that people do not choose slavery. He meant to say, because it was happening for so many years, we were mentally enslaved or something along those lines. So yeah. That's the latest that I have seen so far. So first thing I want to go into, and Melinda just hit it on the head. She said, I haven't decided if Kanye is coming undone or is having some sort of awakening. A lot of times both look very similar to each other. That's the first thing I want to address. For all of the media outlets and everyone saying that this man is crazy, I don't think that's a very fair, kind, and loving thing to say. I have been guilty myself of calling our president, Donald Trump, having a mental illness due to his narcissistic personality disorder. That's very, very obvious to me. So I understand that we're all human and we want to label something as soon as we see it. But for me, my thoughts on it, and this broadcast is by me, my thoughts. If you disagree, that's totally fine. I think he's very woke. And what I mean by that is that I think he has a lot of consciousness, he has a lot of thoughts, and I think those thoughts are coming from something beyond himself, right? He's very, very aware of the problems in the world. He feels a ton, right? I get how he can think that after so many years, the cycle could have been broken. Yeah, I get that too. And like I said, I'm not doing this broadcast to bash the man at all. I don't think anything is very black and white, so I just want to kind of talk through all of the research that I've done and talk with you guys. So I think that he's very woke. Do I think his delivery was not so great? Yes, I do. That comment about slavery was just very out of context, and it was very insensitive from my point of view. Slavery is not a choice, and that's truth. Talk about, I said earlier, I help people find truth and freedom. I understand everybody has their own truth, right? And I'm probably going to do a live about this tomorrow because everyone's like, what are you talking about truth? What does that mean? What's higher self? What's higher truth? And I'll explain that tomorrow. But for the most part, everybody looks at the world through their own lens, through their own perspective. And for us to call Kanye crazy because he's speaking from his lens, from his perspective, from his consciousness is not fair. Because we all have our own point of view, our own lens, our own consciousness, our own background that creates the thoughts, the feelings that we go through life with, right? We have the power to change those thoughts, feelings, the way we behave, the way we be, etc., to an extent. And I think his intentions were in a good place. But I don't think his delivery was exactly the most sensitive, and I can truly, truly understand how people were offended. I was offended. Until, I did my research and I realized, that wasn't really his intention. And so when we realize what people's intentions are, it's a little bit easier for forgiveness, right? Because he means well for the most part. But that's also not taking him off the hook, right? So that's that. Does anybody agree, disagree, or want to put their comments about that, whether they agree with me or not? But yeah, going back to, it's not fair to call him crazy, guys. It's just not. And, I was talking to somebody a couple weeks ago, and when I look back at my lives, I was looking at my YouTube channel, because I put all my lives on my YouTube channel. There are many times where myself included call myself crazy because of my radical, and they're not even radical to me. They're who I am, and they're my thoughts, my beliefs. But when I was going through my spiritual awakening, I had to question my sanity every single day because I wasn't thinking the same as people. When I started talking about ascended masters, angels, people, things in the fifth dimension, things talking to me, kind of trying to communicate to me, spirit guides, all of this stuff out of the blue, people thought that I was crazy, and I was going along with it, and I was calling myself crazy, and I just don't think it's fair because people have different thoughts, beliefs than you do to call them crazy. And people do the same thing with Jim Carrey. I'm a huge fan of Jim Carrey. I think he's probably one of the most woke people, and he has a platform to be able to share that consciousness, and I think that's really amazing. But people think he went off his rocker, when the truth is he's the one that sees reality, right? And I believe a lot of this, I follow a lot of stuff and resonate with a lot of stuff that he says. So I totally get it. But when it comes to being, quote unquote woke, I didn't see his whole interview, but I definitely believe that it's harmful to bash people just because their thoughts don't line up with ours. I have woke thoughts daily, and I'm not at all crazy. Exactly. And just to reiterate these woke thoughts, and I put it in parentheses because it's like I can't even define a woke thought, right? Like, what is a woke thought? But, it's a thought in consciousness. Everybody has a different truth of consciousness, a different perspective of consciousness. And just because somebody is woke doesn't necessarily mean I resonate with them, because, in fact, I don't resonate with Kanye West. I'm not a Trump supporter. I don't think Trump is a genius. I think he has narcissistic personality disorder. I think he lacks empathy. I think he's in the psychopathic family. And I don't agree with the thoughts that Kanye West has around politics and what he had to say about the choice about slavery, whether he meant it the way he meant it or not. So that's the thing, but I'm not here to, and yes, I did judge right away, right? And that's what happens when we get hurt, right? Because and a lot of people came out today like, will.i.am and all this, and T.I., I believe, said something about, they were hurt. They were really, really hurt, and I was hurt as well. But for me, what happens with healing is that I need to understand. And that's kind of why I go into the black holes. I need to understand why this person said this. I need to understand whether they're remorseful. I need to understand where it was coming from. And the more we understand, the more we forgive. So just putting that out there. Okay, so I haven't seen the interview or researched what his intentions were. So if he was talking about slavery symbolically, then I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, I think he went on Twitter and he said something about slavery being I guess not a symbol. I guess symbol is the word, but for mental slavery. Like we were mentally imprisoned, basically. I don't know if he was like trying to save himself publicly or like it was a publicity thing, but it was definitely tweeted out. So we can talk about it forever. We can speculate forever. We'll never really know, right? So moving on to the second thing. So let me close that up. Guys, people that are woke are not crazy. They're actually very, very intelligent, and they're intelligent intuitively with the right brain, right? So I think he said something very narcissistic statements in the past. Yes, I think so too. So moving on from the woke thing, please don't call people crazy if you have different thoughts than them. That's life, right? We're supposed to have different thoughts from other people, and it's important to listen to those thoughts, not necessarily agree with them. Like I don't agree with them. So moving on, I wanted to also make this clear about choice. So if you guys follow me, you know that I teach from universal law. And one of my favorite universal laws is that we are the universe, and the universe is inside us, which makes us the most powerful beings, that we are the creators of our own life, and we get to design the life that we want. Now, I think that's true. Think out of the question. I feel that is true. That is my truth. I resonate with that universal law, and maybe other people do. But with that being said, I think people take it out of context. For example, this whole comment about slavery being a choice. It's not a choice. People don't choose to be imprisoned, enslaved, right? People don't choose to be raped. People don't choose to be victimized. And this goes into something that I have a problem with for a while. I do not like that people think that victimization doesn't exist, because it sure does. And I think a lot of people in the spiritual community, and if you're a coach, they really like to hone in on the please don't be a victim, you're in control mentality. Which, I am a coach too, but I'm also a healer. So for me, when it comes down to things like Tony Robbins with the Me Too movement, Kanye West with the slavery comment, and then I don't know if you guys know who Lewis Howes is, but he has this podcast called The School of Greatness, and he interviewed Elizabeth Smart. And just to remind you, Elizabeth Smart was the child that was abducted by this man. I forget his name. It's slipping my mind right now. For like a long time. It was months. And he raped her every single day. And he made her watch pornography. And he treated her like a slave. And that's something that she was rescued. That's something that she has to live with the rest of her life. Anyway, Lewis Howes interviewed her. I did not like the interview. I thought there was a real lack of empathy there, and I've lost a lot of respect for Lewis Howes, and I'm not trying to judge right away just based on one interview, but it was just an incredible lack of empathy and holding space for the victim of a heinous situation for a heinous crime. People can be victims, and I think a lot of people take the victim mentality physically and also maybe physically is not the word. They take it literally, right? Like, here's the thing. Like I said, something heinous happens to you. You've been raped. You do not choose to be raped. The choice factor comes in and how you choose to be, feel, and think about the situation that has happened to you, because those are the controllables. And I did a live about the controllables. There are certain things, energy being another one, right? Those you can control. That's what that means about not playing the victim and being the creator. Because that's the thing, guys. We are the creators, but there's also a source bigger than us kind of making our moves, right? Like, if a family member was to die tomorrow, I don't choose that. That is something, a power bigger than me that has made that choice for me. And how I deal with it is where the creator energy, point of view, value, however you want to say it, law, universal law, comes into play. That's what we mean. I think a lot of people take it literally, and I see a lot of people doing it with the law of attraction, right? Another universal law. Like, people don't really understand these laws too much. I should probably do a Facebook Live about this. But like, people think like, let me just manifest, like, marrying Barack Obama, and then it'll happen. How you react and respond to situations we can't control. How you react and... Do you mean we can control? Because I do believe we can control. That's the only thing that we can control. And what we can't control is what actually, is bigger than us, and things that happen to us, right? So, with that being said, I think that's why people are angry. That's why I got angry. I judged when Kanye said that, because I know that slavery was not a choice. That is fact. That is truth. It is not a choice. It is something that is ugly in our history. And let me just make this clear to everyone. Slavery did not end. Okay? There are black people all over the country being shot for no reason, unarmed. They are enslaved in a different way. Our prison system keeps them down. Our financial and economic system keeps them down. If you think slavery is over, that's what I meant. LOL. Yeah, I knew you meant. Now, if you think slavery is actually over, and this is, particularly to Kanye, if that's what he meant, or people that just, as a white person, I know that slavery is not over. And I could never let me say this first. I'm getting passionate about it. Because what I really, really dislike is the lack of empathy that this world seems to have. And I understand. I'm not empathetic all the time. I totally get it. Like, there's some things, like I have a friend that really, really wants a baby, and she is really frustrated about it. She thinks her clock is ticking. I actually don't want children, and I've never had that fear, of not being a mom. It doesn't even occur to me. So it's very hard for me sometimes to relate to her fears and her pain. I try to do my best, but it's very, very hard. And I think, and it's not that I have sympathy, for sure, I have sympathy, but sympathy and empathy are two different things. So it's very, very hard, and that's the key with empathy, is that we have to be able to get into somebody else's shoes to really, really feel what they're feeling. And sometimes it's impossible because for me, I will never know what it's like to be an oppressed Black person. I will never be able to feel that. And I understand that, but for some reason, law of attraction is definitely not a simple and straightforward process. Otherwise, all of us who believe in it would have no struggles or things to over. Exactly. I should definitely do a live on that. Anyway, so my tangent about empathy. But, I will never understand, but I do feel for people that are oppressed. I'm in an oppressed group as well. I'm a woman. It's a little different. And I'm very sensitive to women's issues. I'm a feminist. I get very, very weird around people that aren't feminists, especially men. But that's a sensitive topic for me. But also, when it comes to, with all this stuff happening where Black people are being shot for no freaking reason, the most important thing that you can do, Black or white, is to shut up, listen, right? And when I say shut up and listen, I mean, this is just called something as simple as holding space for someone, not arguing the point, saying, okay, it's time to get over it, time to think a different way, time to heal, it's time to get over it. That does absolutely nothing for anyone. So it's time to shut up, hold space, active listen, have empathy, and that's where things start to change. So, does anybody agree with me here? I hope so. But that's kind of like where I'm at, right? Whether Kanye really meant that about slavery or not, it just all comes down to we are all now enslaved in various ways. It's not just Black people. Our minds are enslaved now, etc. We live in a culture where we condition to think people like Kylie Jenner is actually important. She has like 110 million followers on IG. Like Kanye said, we're not encouraged to think freely. Yes, and that's why I see what Kanye is saying. And that's why I think he's woke. Is because he's thinking a different way. He's using his consciousness to think a different way. And I think that's super important. I think it's so important to question things. I always say question everything. But not necessarily, having to agree with everybody. And by the way, even in the spiritual community, like, I don't agree with everyone either. And I'm sure some people don't agree with me. And again, I didn't watch the interview. I was hoping he mentioned slavery in different regards that just historically, yeah. Definitely check it out if you get a second. Maybe I should just post it. But yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought. But I just wanted to get on and talk about it and just, I don't hate him. Do I feel like he should have collected his thoughts a little bit better and maybe have the delivery be a little bit streamlined and to the point? Yes, I do. But I also feel for the people that were hurt because of the interview, because of the things that he said, and I have extreme empathy for those people, for sure. So yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to say. Cool. Thank you guys for, I feel like I just ranted for a really long time, but I had so many thoughts, I just had to get them out, So, and I love hearing other people's thoughts. I love kind of bouncing them off. None of us are truly free, I believe. We are all indoctrined from our first day in school by the media to a certain extent. Yes. Yes, Mike. Oh my God, yes. So I've been struggling too. Politics is the one thing that gets me, and I'll be completely transparent with you guys. I'm a recovering hardcore liberal. It comes out every once in a while, right? I'm very righteous, which I go back and forth with righteousness, right? Like, does it fall under the positive or the negative scale? Because righteousness in the past, in history, has proved to be, I appreciate the topic is perfect timing. Great. Yay, Janelle. Yay. Righteousness has proved to be a very, very positive thing as far as bringing change and equality to the world. So I struggle with righteousness because I think, and what I feel, is that it resonates with me very, very deeply. I'm one of those people. I feel like I am here to create change in consciousness, create change in the world. I've been thinking about becoming vegan. I'm very close. I'm getting more into sustainability. I want to create change. The things that I do every day is in my control. And those things are an example. You can choose to eat meat, or you can choose not to eat meat, and you can choose to use a lot of plastic, and you can choose not to use a lot of plastic. And you can free yourself from indoctrination. It takes a lot of insight and effort. Yeah, I do believe in choosing freedom. That's kind of like what I do, right? Is help people get to that place, especially emotionally, right? That's super, super important. But yeah, I love this conversation. I'm actually going to end it. I have to get going. But if you guys want to throw some comments in there, I'd love to, read them after. And if you're watching the replay, please comment as well. But great topic. Thanks for listening. Thanks for commenting. And I love hearing your thoughts. And yeah, cool. And no fluoride. I know. Mike, we got to talk about that. Because I think it's really affecting me, which is like really scary. Okay, cool. I will be on tomorrow. I'll see you guys then. Bye.